Greetings, my dear viewer. You're on the channel The Price of Cheating. The channel is for those who appreciate traditional family values and condemn adultery. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. My name is Lewis Clayton. I am 51 years old and oversee operations at a prominent brewery in Fort Worth, Texas. My wife, Rosalie, often called Rosalie, is also 51. She works in the creative department of a major advertising agency within the city. Rosalie and I have been married for 3 decades. We've known each other since childhood, having grown up on the same street since the 4th grade. Our connection began as a deep friendship during middle school, and later blossomed into romance in high school. She was my date for prom, a memorable night that brought us closer than ever before. That evening marked a significant step in our relationship, as we shared our first intimate experience together. Following high school, we both attended the University of Texas. During our final 2 years, we lived together in a 1-bedroom apartment, strengthening our bond further. Today, we have a 21-year-old daughter, Judy, who is currently a student at the University of Oklahoma, a choice we jokingly refer to as treason. Judy is engaged to Brad Johnson, a polite and accomplished young man from Oklahoma City. At 26, Brad is slightly older and comes from a wealthy family with strong ties to the oil industry. His father holds a top position at a major company in Norman, Oklahoma. Brad is studying business law, while Judy is exploring her academic options. We couldn't be happier for them. Rosalie earns an annual salary of $55,100, while my position at High Life Brewing Company provides me with an income exceeding $300,000. Financially, we are on solid ground. 15 years ago, we purchased a foreclosed lakeside property on Lake Arlington for $350,000, paying in cash. After extensive renovations, the house is now valued at approximately $2 million. However, something unsettling happened recently that has been on my mind. 3 days ago, Rosalie mentioned an upcoming company event on Saturday evening. She told me, "Louis, I know these parties aren't your favorite, and you might be too tired. You don't have to come if you'd rather not." I reassured her, saying, "No, Rosalie, I'll be off work and would love to join you." Despite my enthusiasm, she brought it up several more times over the following days, insisting I didn't need to feel obligated to attend. But I stood my ground, eager to meet her colleagues. When the evening of the party arrived, Rosalie looked stunning in a sleek black dress that complemented her blonde hair and striking blue eyes. As we entered the venue, she immediately made her way toward a man in his 50s. Just before reaching him, she stopped, turned to me, and kissed my cheek. It was a subtle gesture, but for some reason it stirred a sense of unease within me. Throughout the night, we enjoyed a few drinks. I stayed sober as I was the designated driver and wanted to keep a clear head. While I have always trusted Rosalie completely, something about the man, later introduced to me as Alexander Wegman, a senior sales representative at her firm, bothered me. Though we danced several times, I noticed her sneaking glances at him, which he reciprocated. At one point, Alexander approached our table and asked Rosalie to dance. He didn't acknowledge me or seek my permission, which struck me as bold and disrespectful. Rosalie, sensing my irritation, declined his offer gracefully, explaining that all her dances were reserved for her husband. Alexander walked away, clearly displeased, and soon partnered with another woman on the dance floor. Later in the evening, Rosalie asked for another drink. As I returned from the bar with her glass, I spotted Alexander speaking with her. She had a sorrowful expression as she shook her head and silently mouthed the words, "Sorry, baby." Thanks to years of working in noisy environments, I've become proficient at reading lips, so I'm confident in what I saw. I chose not to drink any further that night, determined to remain vigilant. While observing the room, I couldn't help but notice others casting curious glances at the three of us. It felt as though an invisible tension hung in the air, though I couldn't yet discern its cause or duration. On the drive home, my thoughts boiled over, and I decided to address them. "Who is Alexander?" I asked. "And why do you two seem so familiar? Are you being unfaithful?" Rosalie appeared genuinely taken aback. "Alexander is just a colleague," she assured me. "I can't believe you'd think I'd betray you. Louis, I love you more than anything. I didn't press the matter further that night, but she knows me well enough to understand the gravity of my suspicions. Rosalie is fully aware of my temperament and how I respond when wronged. In high school, when a classmate humiliated me, I retaliated by publicly shaming him, leaving a lasting impression. During college, when a football player attempted to harm Rosalie, I stepped in and ensured he faced serious consequences. My actions have always been swift and decisive when it comes to protecting those I love. Rosalie knows I won't tolerate betrayal. While we've built a life of comfort and financial stability, with her earning over $50,000 a year and my income exceeding $300,000, I value our bond far more than material success. Stability doesn't mean complacency, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect our relationship from any threat. Rosalie had built up over $125,000 in her 401k, while my own had exceeded the $1 million mark. That financial disparity only deepened my determination to uncover the truth. To get to the bottom of it, I turned to a private investigator, a professional I had previously worked with at my brewery, to handle workers' compensation claims. It didn't take him long to collect a trove of evidence, videos, audio recordings, and photographs. A few weeks later, one morning as we sat across from each other at the dining table, coffee cups in hand, I decided to confront her head-on. "Rosalie, you'd never betray me, would you? Or have you ever cheated on me before?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. Her response was immediate and firm. "Of course not, Louis. I'd never do that. Why would you even think such a thing?" Without saying another word, I reached for the large envelope nearby and began spreading the photos across the table. "Then explain these, Rosalie. Here you are kissing Alexander outside a Motel 6. Here's another of you walking inside. And this one? Well, it's clear what's happening here." Her face paled as she stammered, her voice trembling. "Louis, this isn't what it looks like. It's not serious. I don't love him. It's purely physical." My hand slammed onto the table. "Physical or not, it means everything to me. Is he better than me? Bigger? How long has this been going on? And why?" She shook her head quickly. "No, he's not bigger, not even close, Louis. Better? Not really, it's just different. We've been seeing each other for a little over a year." Her blunt admission left me reeling. "A year? You've been seeing this man for an entire year?" She corrected me with a disturbingly nonchalant tone. "At work, we call it being an office spouse. It's something a lot of people do." I stared at her, my voice cutting through the air. "Well, you're not staying here. I'm not going anywhere, but you are." I gestured toward the door, where her belongings were already packed into her BMW. Grabbing her arm, I led her out. "Where am I supposed to go, Louis?" she asked, her voice breaking. I didn't falter. "That's not my problem. Go stay with your office husband." Her eyes widened. "I can't. Alexander is married. He has 3 kids. I already knew all of this. The investigator had detailed his full name, his wife's name, their children, and their address. But I didn't let on. "Then go back to the Motel 6 or anywhere else. Just leave." Her tears started to flow as she pleaded. "Are you really going to throw away 30 years of marriage over this?" My voice was icy. "You threw it away, Rosalie. We didn't even make it to 30 years. You destroyed our marriage with your deceit. Now get out." Sobbing, she climbed into her car and drove off. Later that evening, my phone rang. It was our daughter, Judy. "Hi, Dad. How's everything?" She started brightly, chatting about her upcoming wedding, which I was fully funding. Eventually, though, the conversation turned. "Dad, Mom called me. She said you kicked her out. What's going on?" I sighed deeply. "Judy, your mother should explain this, but here it is. I caught her cheating." Her tone immediately changed, dismissive and annoyed. "Oh, Dad, get over it. It's the modern age. People step out sometimes. It's not a big deal. Men have done it forever." "Not me," I retorted, "and I won't put up with it. Are you doing this to Brad?" "That's none of your business," she snapped. "Brad and I aren't married yet, so what I do doesn't concern him." My frustration bubbled over. "Does anyone else in this family think this behavior is acceptable?" She didn't hesitate. "Aunt Betty does, Dad. So what? Just let Mom come back. It's not a big deal. Oh, and by the way, I've met Alexander. He's a great guy. Mom wants him at the wedding, and I'm fine with it. I was stunned. If you want him there, then let him walk you down the aisle, because if he's present, I won't be. With that, I hung up, ignoring the phone as it rang repeatedly through the night. 2 days later, Rosalie returned, holding a court order. Her office husband had helped her secure a lawyer, and she was granted temporary access to the house until the matter was resolved. She tried to reason with me, claiming the affair hadn't impacted our marriage. Louis, I'm still affectionate toward you. I'll be there when you need me. Nothing has to change. I stared at her, incredulous. Nothing has to change? You expect me to live with a wife who's been unfaithful? To touch you again? Never. You can have the master bedroom. That's where you and he were together. I've been in the spare room since I found out who you really are. She tried to protest, her voice barely above a whisper. Louis, I'm not who you think I am. I cut her off, my voice firm. I don't care anymore, Rosalie. Your words mean nothing. I'm filing for divorce this week. This ends here and now. Louis, I'm not open to the idea of a divorce, Rosalie declared, her voice steady and resolute. By the way, Alexander and I have already consulted his lawyer. If you decide to pursue this, I'll end up with the house and half of everything we own. And since you make more than me, the alimony will be substantial. Let's just call it a generous slice of your income. So, my dear husband, as Alexander likes to say, you may as well sit back and enjoy the ride. With that, she strode away, leaving me behind, simmering with anger and disbelief as I retreated to my room. Later that night, close to midnight, there was a knock on my door. Rosalie stood there, tears streaming down her cheeks. She apologized, claiming she wanted to work things out between us, but added that she intended to keep seeing Alexander. The next morning, I met with one of our company's attorneys. His evaluation was a bitter pill to swallow. If I went through with the divorce, she'd get the house, half of our shared assets, and roughly $125,000 a year in alimony. With our daughter Judy already living independently, there would be no child support. Louis, the lawyer said, his tone apologetic, you'd be in a tough spot if this goes forward. Sorry, my friend. The following days were marked by tense silence between Rosalie and me. On the third day, she confronted me directly. Are you still foolish enough to entertain the thought of divorce? She asked, smirking. My lawyer is already on it. If you push me, Louis, I'll take everything you've got. I didn't reply, just quietly sipped my beer. About an hour later, she handed me the phone. Someone wants to talk to you, she said smugly. I answered with a sharp, hello? Already on edge. The voice on the other end belonged to Alexander. Louis, it's Alexander. Listen, I know you're upset, but you'd better play along. We'll drain you dry if you don't. Don't think you stand a chance against us. Furious, I shot back. You don't have a clue who you're dealing with. Take her. I'm done. She's ruined goods just like you. Go to hell. I slammed the phone down, my anger boiling over. Rosalie stood nearby, stunned by my response. She and Alexander had no idea how much I knew. My private investigator had gathered damning evidence against them. Photos, recordings, videos. If they thought they were untouchable, they were sorely mistaken. Their ignorance of the fact that the house phones recorded their conversations was almost laughable. Throughout the week, Rosalie continued her rendezvous with Alexander, meeting him 4 more times, always at a Motel 6. She seemed to heed my warning not to bring him into our home again. At least she understood there were limits she couldn't cross. Meanwhile, at work, changes were afoot. Our brewery had been bought by a Colorado-based company, Rocky Mountain Brewery, the year prior. Now, our Fort Worth plant produced both product lines under dual leadership. I oversaw the original line, while James, a younger manager from Colorado, handled the new one. James was sharp, friendly, and easy to get along with. Having gone through a tough divorce himself, he sympathized with my situation. Corporate had hinted at merging the 2 managerial roles, favoring James due to his ties with the acquiring company. They'd even offered me a $500,000 buyout and stock in the new enterprise, a tempting offer in these uncertain times. One evening, James and I stopped by a strip club near the plant. He was a regular, now single, and enjoying his freedom. Over drinks, he shared some hard-earned wisdom. "Louis, I know what you're going through. My ex took everything. If I could do it over, I'd have sold everything off or disappeared instead of letting the courts decide." His words struck a chord. I finished my drink, shook his hand, and thanked him. "You're one of the smartest guys I know, James." Then I drove home, relieved to find Rosalie out for the night, undoubtedly with her so-called office husband. Her absence brought an unexpected calm. Once, I'd loved her deeply. Now I felt nothing but disgust. By Sunday, I was ready to act. As I watched football, Judy called. "Dad, are you done being mad yet?" she asked. "What is it, Judy?" I replied, already bracing myself. "Mom and I have been talking about the wedding. We think Alexander should be part of it. He could walk up the aisle with us and sit beside Mom afterward." "Is that really what you want?" I asked, barely containing my disbelief. "Yes, Daddy. Mom thinks it's a great idea, and so do I. You're her husband, but Alexander is her office husband, so it makes sense for him to be included." I took a deep breath before responding. "I have a better idea, Judy. Let your office dad walk you down the aisle because I won't be there. I'll call Brad and let him know I'm not coming." "Dad, don't be ridiculous. Brad doesn't like the idea either, but he'll get over it," she said dismissively. "Well, Judy, I wish you a happy life. Goodbye." I hung up the phone, feeling a strange mixture of sorrow and freedom wash over me. When she asked, "What does that mean, Dad?" I couldn't find the words to explain. Instead, I ended the call and collapsed in tears. Later that Sunday evening, when Rosalie walked through the door, her cheerful tone and warm smile greeted me. "Did you miss me, sweetheart?" My reply was icy and devoid of emotion. "Not at all. Why don't you just leave and never return?" Her eyes brimmed with tears as she rushed to the bedroom, shutting the door behind her. By Monday morning, I was in the corporate office by 8 a.m. sharp. I signed the paperwork for the buyout offer, $500,000 transferred to an offshore account and an additional year's salary. With our house and cars fully paid off, my next stop was the bank, where I set plans into motion. Using the $2 million, $2.5 million valuation of the house, I secured a $2 million loan without any hurdles. Similarly, I leveraged Rosalie's BMW, valued at $45,000, to obtain a $35,000 loan. These moves were calculated, a small burden for her to bear. The trick now was to convince her to sign the documents without raising suspicion. Back at work, I spent the day preparing for my departure. Over the next 2 weeks, I focused on ensuring a smooth transition for my replacement, James, a colleague I genuinely admired. That afternoon, I called the wedding planner to cancel all my credit cards, leaving the financial burden of the wedding on someone else. When asked, "Mr. Clayton, who will cover the remaining expenses?" My answer was curt. "Tell Judy to ask her new father, Alexander." During office hours, I fabricated a series of phony life insurance applications for a $1 million policy under my name. That evening, I surprised Rosalie with a call. Her tone suggested she hadn't expected it. "Rosalie, if Alexander's not occupying your time, would you like to have dinner with me?" Her response was filled with hope. "I'd love that. Are you saying you're ready to move forward?" "Let's find out. How about the Italian Inn downtown? It's lovely under the lights," I suggested. "Oh, Louis, that sounds so romantic. Maybe tonight will bring us closer again," she teased. "I hope tonight exceeds your expectations," I replied with a wry smile. At dinner, Rosalie attempted to rekindle our bond, leaning in as though to seal it with a kiss. I deflected her, promising later instead. During the meal, I brought up the life insurance policy, explaining it was required by my employer and naming her as the beneficiary. "Your sister Betty is a notary, right?" I asked casually. "Yes, she is. Why?" Rosalie's curiosity was piqued. "We need her to witness the signatures for the policy. Let's visit her after dinner to take care of it," I suggested. She eagerly agreed, buoyed by the thought of reconciliation. After dinner, we went to Betty's house, where Rosalie, intoxicated from several glasses of wine, signed every document without hesitation, believing it was a step toward rebuilding our relationship. She had no idea what she had just endorsed. The following day, I submitted the documents to the bank and mortgage company. The $35,000 loan was immediately approved, while the $2 million transfer to my offshore account required a week. By Friday, I had officially left the brewery. I used a portion of the funds to trade in my truck for a brand new F350 paying in cash. At the bank, I closed all shared credit cards and reduced our accounts to $1 million each. A trusted friend helped me scatter the offshore funds across multiple accounts, erasing any financial trace. What remained were the final emotionally taxing steps, though I knew the fallout was necessary. First, I met with Brad, my future son-in-law, and told him everything. I detailed how the wedding was no longer funded and disclosed Judy's infidelity, providing him with recordings of her indiscretions. He was devastated. My next stop was Alexander Wegman's residence, where an elegant woman in her 50s answered the door. Her composure made it hard to comprehend how Alexander could betray her. I handed over the photos, videos, and recordings that exposed Alexander's behavior. Tears welled up as she thanked me, revealing that this was not his first transgression, but it would be his last. She also shared that she held significant shares in Beckham Advertising Agency, a detail that promised further complications for Alexander and others involved. Meanwhile, I considered how Rosalie would handle her $700 car payment and $12,000 mortgage without my support. Perhaps her office husband would step in to help. Finally, I retrieved my 36-foot fifth-wheel travel trailer, registered under my cousin's name. Both the truck and trailer were paid in full with cash, and I retained only 3 credit cards, also under my cousin's name. My destination was Florida, where I planned to live quietly for a few years, waiting for Rosalie to file for divorce on grounds of abandonment. With a non-compete clause barring me from working for another brewery for a year, Florida seemed like the perfect retreat. 15 months later, the fallout was complete. Alexander's divorce left him destitute. His ex-wife claimed their home, the majority of his assets, and $60,000 annually in alimony. Jobless, he ended up working at a Blockbuster store and renting a cramped apartment above an adult shop. Rosalie struggled to maintain her financial obligations, eventually losing both her car and the house. She had no idea we had never relied on credit. Everything had unfolded as planned, leaving me free to enjoy my new life unburdened by the past. Rosalie's troubled credit history has made it nearly impossible for her to find a suitable place to live. Following the loss of her previous job, she eventually secured a new one, working as a waitress at a Denny's restaurant located off the interstate highway. Struggling to find a way forward, she opted to file for abandonment in an effort to speed up her divorce proceedings, hoping this move would qualify her for welfare benefits. However, the financial assistance she anticipated from me never materialized. Apparently, the authorities were unable to locate me, so she proceeded to finalize the divorce on her own, concluding the process cleanly and without my participation. My beloved daughter Judy never walked down the aisle. Brad, her fiancé, confronted her about some audio recordings he had come across, but her reaction was apathetic. She shrugged it off, asserting that it wasn't a significant issue if a wife occasionally sought excitement elsewhere. It was a justification I'd heard from her before. Disillusioned, Brad called off their wedding. As a result, Judy severed her ties with the affluent family she was set to marry into. She lost her father's financial backing and now resides in a modest 2-bedroom apartment situated in a less desirable part of the city. She shares this modest home with her ever-loyal mother. From what I've gathered, their lifestyle is unconventional, to say the least. If frequent evening visits from different men, each leaving behind $20, can be considered dating, then they seem to lead a very social life. Meanwhile, I've embraced the joys of living in sunny South Florida. The endless parade of bikinis, the consistently warm weather, and an incredible job working for the King of Brews have turned my life into a personal paradise. This concludes the story. If you like it, then put your powerful like and subscribe to the channel.